host, Kelly Springer. Kelly, how are you? And I know you're excited about our guest.
I'm so excited about our guest today. We are honored to have Dr. Karen Rigamonti, a trusted leader in organization culture and champion for bringing humanity back to healthcare. Love that. Dr. Karen is dedicated to career in improving workplace cultures, fostering meaningful relationships, and advocating for individuals and caregivers. From empowering leaders to addressing cultural toxicity in organizations, Dr. Karen believes that when we have the culture right, success follows naturally. Join us as we dive into her insights and strategies for creating healthier, more effective workplaces. And we will welcome Dr. Karen. So, welcome, Dr. Karen.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm so honored to be here with you. I'm very excited to hear what you do and share what I do.
Well, I can't wait to dive into what you do. So, I think it's interesting when we say cultural toxicity. So, can you explain how do we get away from that? Because that sounds terrible.
Well, I think you're right. It is terrible. And what we're seeing in the workplace now, imagine if you're working in a workplace and you're feeling burned out, overwhelmed, stressed, frustrated, and no one cares about you, and you're feeling like you're in this alone. Well, that is really not a good environment for anyone in any field, particularly in healthcare where mistakes can happen and lives are at cost. So, what we see is that we have a lot of managers that mean well. We all mean well. Let me first say that. Caregivers, I am a physician by training. I come from a medical family, and we all mean well, but errors happen. And safety is physical and psychological safety are not always present. And when we have advocates to help us communicate compassionately, we can have healing take place. Because what we realize in toxic environments is when we have this stress, when we work as individuals and in silos without teams collaborating and communicating and building a community, what we find is that we're feeling alone, we're feeling stressed, and like no one cares about us. And when we don't feel appreciated, it doesn't matter where you live, what religion, what culture, it all boils down to the same thing. We're burned out, and we just either silently quit or we physically quit. And that can't be, because then we can't have good health care.
So, what is the solution?
The solution would take us all day, but in a nutshell, we need really good leaders that understand that it's bringing humanity into the workplace that is paramount. Because when we care about people, everything else takes care of itself. Because if you're more energized to care about people and you feel that you went into healthcare or any other field to give that service and provide those products for people, then when they get them and they're grateful because you gave quality work to them, quality service in a safe manner, they feel like you really saw them, heard them, understood what they needed, and they're grateful, and they give that back to you in other ways, in other forms. And so we all benefit and we all can do better. And the truth of the matter is, Kelly, we're all vulnerable when it comes to healthcare.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how rich, famous, smart you are, you're still vulnerable in healthcare, including all physicians are vulnerable when they themselves get ill. So we need to do a better job and take care of each other.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about this more. The problem is that the relationship is one of the things, Dr. Karen, you really look at, right? The relationship between
Absolutely.
patient and the healthcare provider. And it doesn't just involve the doctor and the patient, it involves multiple people, right?
Absolutely. It's really the entire system, and we forget that. You could be stressed because on the way to getting to the appointment, you were in a car accident, or somebody was cursing you out in the lane next to you, or you just made a wrong turn and it took longer than you expected and you hit traffic. And and then you get to the receptionist who tells you to take a seat like you don't even count. And you feel like nothing's personally done for you. And it continues on down the line. Even the person that's cleaning the floors feels like you don't care about them. You snap at them. And they're just there to make it sanitary so that you can get health services. And so we all need each other, no matter who we are. And we find each other difficult, and everyone is pointing the finger at everyone else. And as you know, patients don't even like their family caregivers and vice versa. Everyone says, well, my mother does this, my sister does that, and we all point the finger at each other. And then they point to the nurse, and the nurse points to the doctor, and the doctor points to their fellow doctors in a different department. And we keep on going. And then the administrators point to everybody and say, but you're not earning me money. You're not seeing patients fast enough. And so there's tricks to the trade all along of how we can tweak the system and improve it. Not overnight, but we can do it. And it requires all of us to do our part and be accountable and responsible for what we do.
It's
Well,
interesting,
I completely,
Kelly. You go through this all the time, right? Especially with Kelly
well,
in ways. Yeah.
thing is, I really saw it when I worked in the healthcare system, when I worked in the hospitals. It was extremely toxic environment, and my husband is a physician, so he's still in it. It is tough. It is tough, and the politics that happen and how it really goes down, and hence why I started my own company. But I have to be a leader in my own company and make sure my staff feels heard. And we're going through a training program right now to do just that. And I think it's important because we do have to learn how to be positive leaders, because everyone's going so quickly that I think, like you said, that we may forget about the person as an individual.
And I think sometimes if we slow down, we actually can speed up.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you do things up front and you take care of the people up front and make them feel seen and heard, they're less likely to come back at you with more questions, more antagonism, and more frustration, because they feel like you're paying attention to them. You've got their back. That's whether they're the patient or your colleague. And so you all prosper when we take care of each other. We all benefit. And yes, it's toxic everywhere. And none of us like to admit that, because we're all there because we love what we went into healthcare. We want to serve people. We want to improve upon it. And whether you are still in a hospital setting or, like you, Kelly, in a different setting, we're all still trying to address the same situation. So it's really important that we all stick together, so to speak, and have each other's back and
Well,
support each other.
it's interesting. This is very timely for us at the company. I am a CEU provider for dietitians, and we are going to be creating a sensitivity training and really talking about when a client comes in, just like you're saying, like, where are they, where they come from, really truly being sensitive to whatever they may have seen on TikTok, whatever they've been told, like whatever they're coming in to say, okay, that sounds great. Let's see, like, and really listening to them, because I've been guilty in the past of just trying to go so quick because I see that person and I know exactly what they need and how they need it. But if I just took that 15 minutes to 45 minutes to really listen to them, then whatever I'm saying would have resonated a little bit easier. So we're actually developing that as we speak at our company.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know. I think that's great because, that's the kind of work that I do. And it's really important because it's all trainable. But
Mhm.
and it's not like anyone doesn't know it. Many of us are told it's soft things. It's people, there's nothing tangible about it, but it's all this information that we have back here that has to come back up front. Because when it's up front, we stop and we look at the person. We're present with them. We're really listening to understand them and where they're coming from, why they're feeling the way they're feeling. Maybe the problem isn't even their health, it's their transportation. They can't get back to you. It's not that they don't want to. So if we can't actually look at them and see them as a human being and what are the obstacles they're facing, we can't really serve them well.
Mhm.
We can write them a prescription, but are we trying to just treat symptoms, or are we trying to actually make people healthier so that they don't get symptoms in the first place?
Now,
Mhm.
Dr. Karen, when you look at how you do this, who do you mostly work with to help this whole process?
I actually work in different directions. So I can go into an organization and work with the C-suite. I can go in and train trainers and work with the entire hospital organization. And I can even work with individual practices and with the family caregivers and patients they have, because I really believe that we need to close the gap in all aspects. And so it's, if a patient were to come to me, I can help them navigate the system and their family caregivers and the professional caregivers. If it's a nurse or a doctor, I can do it that way, or a therapist. And frankly, it could even be someone that wouldn't probably come to me on their own, but the organization may say this group needs it, or may not even recognize that that group needs it. And it could be just the ancillary staff, the people that provide the security and the parking and the cleaning and laundry and nutrition in the kitchen, and all these areas that are traditionally not seen as important, but they're equally important for the delivery of a good experience.
It is. It is. So when I first started in healthcare, I was late teens, early 20s. And it was interesting because I was thrown in with union workers. And the culture was interesting where if the phone rang, they would say it's not that I'm on break, it's not my call. And that affects the patient, right? So the person sitting up in the hospital bed needing whatever it is, but the culture we weren't addressing and they weren't being trained in that setting. So it
It
is,
actually, I want to just say one thing before you keep going, because I want to hear this.
yeah.
But it doesn't just affect the patient, it affects the colleague next to them that will either observe this and be frustrated too, or step in and have to take the call because they didn't bother.
Yes,
But
it's
go ahead.
it completely affects everybody, right?
Yeah.
And so I was able to work in other organizations that were very different, and the culture was different, where if a piece of paper dropped on the floor, everyone would go and grab it. So it was just so interesting to see different cultures of, but the difference was the good company that I was working for was Wegmans. I don't know if you know Wegmans Food Markets.
Sure.
Culture was around it's everybody's job. It doesn't matter if you're the top manager or if you are stocking shelves, everybody's responsible for each other and everyone's responsible for the customer. And so it was just such a different culture and so much more positive than where I came from healthcare.
No, totally. I mean, I'm hearing this conversation. That's where organizations have the trouble. If you're not going to provide quality service, it's not just going to be the customer that's dissatisfied or patient.
Yep.
It's going to be the people working there that are stressed out because a lot of people choose to work to provide something for somebody else that dignifies them, that makes them feel good. If you're working for an organization that doesn't do good work for their clients or their patients or their customers, it really doesn't feel good to go to work each day, Kelly.
It doesn't. And I just saw such a difference. And so hopefully here at Kelly's Choice, we're really trying to build this culture of support. Our company is all women. And so we help each other through pregnancies or childcare or whatever it may be, and really stepping up if someone needs to stay home with a sick kid or whatever is going on. But as a business owner, it's also hard sometimes, right? To say like, well, I really want to be flexible, but we also have to run a business. So I think you are such a strategic part of people learning how to do this well. Because we want to, and we want to provide that positive culture, but sometimes we need
And
training on how to do that.
And that positive culture really can be felt by everyone.
Totally.
I was recently at a healthcare institution, and everyone there in the whole community feels the same incredible experience. the transport person was telling me he loves his job because they take such good care of them. They value what he does so much so that, this wouldn't work for a physician, but for him, he feels like they offer him a certain amount of money every quarter to buy a new pair of sneakers because they understand he's walking the walk all over all day long. And they so appreciate it. And then he says to the patient, it must be cold in the hall. I know where there's a hot blanket. Would you like me to get it? Like it just keeps,
Yes,
you
and
took
it goes
care of
above
me,
track.
so let me take care of somebody
Yeah.
else. And
Right.
So,
everybody is doing it. Somebody's looking for directions, and somebody else rushing to get home after a long shift says, "Can I help you?" Everyone does it.
so Dr. Karen, where do you see that in your experience as a physician, able to help in this whole organizational process? Because you're right, you serve multiple different facets of groups in consulting and coaching. How do you envision this through your experience, through specifically how you've helped run certain organizations? Because it's a top-down thing in so many ways.
Well, I really think that, I mean, you've said a lot of it already, Neil, that everyone needs to feel like they're treated with respect and dignity. And that goes from any walk of life, whether you come from whatever religion, ethnic group, race, gender, sexual orientation, disability, ability, it doesn't matter. We're all the same in front of healthcare or in front of lots of other industries. When you get on a plane, you're all the same. You may be in coach versus business class, but that plane goes down, you're all going to go down together. Nobody going to care what your title was before. And the truth of the matter is, we aren't our titles. We aren't the privilege that we've managed to accrue from hard work and effort, because without that title, you're the same as everyone else. And that's what we have to be remembering all the time, that we just are grateful for just being present and being able to be with others, communicate and relate to them. And so if we could just do that and start communicating with more compassion to everyone in every area of our life, personal or professional, that ripple effect would really transcend. And I believe that healthcare can pave the way, even though they haven't demonstrated 100% so far, because we can always improve. The world is going to stay chaotic and uncertain. We've seen that through COVID, and it isn't going away. But what we can do is that ripple effect of just really understanding and supporting each other and modeling it one person at a time. If each one of us holds ourselves accountable instead of pointing the finger at somebody else, each one of us can improve. None of us will be perfect. We're all human beings, but we can improve and help another person improve. Nobody should feel alone and isolated.
I love it. Kelly, any thoughts to
I
this?
just I think it's fantastic. Like I said, we're working on this right now as a company, and because people are important and you cannot run a company by yourself. So
Nope.
I think that being in healthcare and being a business owner, it's very important for everyone to feel heard and feel important and feel, like you said, feel feel like they're in a positive working environment. So I appreciate what
I
you're doing.
agree with you say, Kelly. And what I will say, because you brought up before, well, but you run that tightrope, you want to help all the women that work with you, and you're still running a business. And what I can tell you from our experience is the more you take care of the people, the more engaged they are, the more retained they are, the more hardworking and effort they put in. And that means that their customer in healthcare, it's the patient and families, feel more seen and heard and more satisfied, and they're more loyal to you. And so it comes back, and the cost savings accrue. And you can't, when you start focusing on cost first and financial benefits, everybody feels unheard of and unseen and unappreciated, and they stop working. So it's like a double-edged sword you're focusing on the wrong thing first. When you take care of your people, I promise the finances will work out too.
Thank you. I agree. And so I'm going to book a lunch tomorrow for everybody.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Sorry.
see, there you go. I like this.
I think Neil and I should get
I
invitations.
think so.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. We needed the virtual lunch. Well, someday we'll be able to push a button, right? And the lunch will come right to us during the podcast. Or we'll
Oh,
all
there
be
you
there
go.
together,
I
kind of
love it.
transformed together.
A
We
new
won't have to be
AI.
stuck in this and ready for that. That's the last question, Dr. Karen. Where do you see AI in this whole process of
Oh, I shouldn't have brought that one up.
it's just interesting. I want to finish that up because that's going to be a conversation that's not being told enough. The AI, robotics, these things are coming and they're coming
Yeah.
fast.
Well, I think, again, that's a double sword, edge sword, because there are really good things about AI. There's no question about it, kind of like the internet, really good things. And there's always going to be abusers of it. And it's how do we kind of police that, but yet allow the freedom to grow and learn through the things that AI can provide. Making things digital and all this electronic stuff has a lot of benefits in terms of speeding things up and getting able in seconds to look up all the information that you want and get it to your fingertips. And yet, when we start becoming like machines, what happens is we stop seeing people as human beings and the unique people they are. We go down certain standards and pathways, and we can't seem to deviate and recognize, oh, here's a guy in front of me, not a woman, or here is this guy who wants to do X, not Y. And what are we doing because we're automatically in this tunnel vision? So I think it's going to be an interesting navigation, just like the internet has been. I think with every new development in this world, we kind of go one step forward, one step back, and we eventually get there. And we're going to have to be patient, but we have to realize that it isn't just replacing human beings. And we need to keep that human aspect in there. As you know, that's one of the things I believe in is instilling humanity into everything. So I caution that we use AI wisely and not forget that they're human beings at stake here and don't treat them just like a machine going down where they're not cogs in the wheel.
It's not going to work. Customer service will never work. When you want an outsourced customer service to another country, you might not understand as much the model of how an American
Well,
or North American should feel. So they should look at the experience of how we've outsourced things to other countries involving that relationship and customer service relationship.
that
Something to
even
look
in
at.
healthcare, because right now they have schedulers doing cross the board for everyone instead of within your own department. And so what's happening is patients can't get to the people they want to get to. And that's frustrating both for the physician. They have to slow down to try to squeeze them in when the digital experience or the person on the other line just didn't understand this one needs to be seen now, not in a month. They have the acute problem now.
Fantastic. Okay. Best place we can find information on you, Dr. Karen. Where can we go?
Well, the best place is to get in touch with me, either through my website, drkaren.org, or you can just reach out to me at Talk with Karen and you can get me. So I think you have all that information, or find me on LinkedIn. And if you can post that for your viewers, that would be great. But again, it's Dr. Dr. Karen, KAREN.org.
Fantastic. And Kelly, we can find you at Kelly's Choice.
Yes.
.org. And then also the cool thing is your book is now available. Where can we check out your book?
You can find it right on Amazon at The New Weight Loss Era. So thanks for bringing that up.
I almost forgot the first podcast, but that's why we record
That's
multiple
okay.
ones. All right,
It's
take
out
care.
there.
Yeah, that's the special simulcast of the Neil Haley's show. And